With that said, ladies and gentlemen, now we move on to our next session of the day, the final panel session on digital payments, the rates for digital leadership. Now, throughout the day today, we had some very unique panel discussion sessions, presentation sessions. Payments is one thing which is a fundamental aspect of the banking fraternity, and I'm glad that this is now going to be discussed in this unique panel, and we have a team of excellent industry leaders who are going to take the stage and talk for the next 50 minutes and share their insights on this. Digital payments, very crucial aspect, and I'm hoping it's going to be a fantastic panel session, the race for digital leadership. So without further ado, let me invite on stage, and please help me welcome them with a big round of applause. Joining us first for this panel session is Mr. Aman Singla, Head of Transaction Banking from CSB Bank. A big round of applause to Aman ji. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. Aman ji anyways happened to be one of our regulars, so always a pleasure to have you, sir. Joining next, we have Mr. Punit Pushkar Sharan, Assistant General Manager from Bank of Baroda. Punit ji, welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have Ms. Shweta Nigam Dasgupta, Head of Product from NPCI Bharat Billpay Limited. A big round of applause to Shweta ji. Welcome to the panel, madam. Please have your seat. And gives me great pleasure to welcome on stage our honorable moderator for this panel, Ms. Sarika Agarwal, Chief Business Officer from FINDI, our presenting partner. Sarika ji, welcome to the stage again and welcome to this panel. And I'm sure in your able hands, it's going to be a fantastic panel session. All over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to welcome you all for this panel discussion on digital payments, the race for digital leadership. I'm Sarika Agarwal, Chief Business Officer at FINDI, and I'm genuinely excited to moderate this panel. Having worked with MSMEs and communities in semi-urban and rural areas, I have firsthand experienced and understood how digital payments can transform lives, and especially when they are built on trust, and they have designed inclusion at their core. It is very easy to get caught up in the race for product innovation and market share. But we have to take a step back and ask ourselves, are we ensuring that no one is left behind? Are we creating payments which are easy and safe for everyone to use? Are we creating solutions that everyone can rely on and work on them confidently without thinking that they can be duped, they can be a fraud? Are we really giving those kind of product in the market that everyone is able to use seamlessly, irrespective and regardless of where they come from, what is their financial background, where they live? Today, we have an incredible panel of experts with us, which have a diverse background, and they're going to give us the insights on the technology, challenge, and the future of digital payment. Before we dive into the panel and go beyond the buzzwords, may I request our panelists to give a brief introduction and how they feel about this digital payment saga. Yeah, maybe starting from Aman.
Thank you, Sarika, and thank you, Signings Group. Good afternoon, everyone. I think I was introduced. My name is Aman Singla. I handle transaction banking for CSB Bank. And CSB Bank is a 105-year-old private sector bank. For the people who don't know about the bank, I thought I'll just give a little bit of perspective. And we are kind of a bank at the right time, at the right place right now, because that is now we are investing and evolving into our digital journey in the bank. I think payments, when we talk about digital leadership in terms of the payments, I think leadership is a perspective that it defines different things at different points in time, right? So today, India obviously is considered as a as a leader in digital payments globally. We all know about UPI and how it has transformed our day-to-day life. 10% of the India's economy is digital economy today, and UPI and the regulator NPCI has a very big role to play in that. Obviously, it all started with demonetization about 8 years back, 9 years back. But unfortunately, the cash flow in the economy is double than what it was earlier. But at the same time, the pace of digital transactions and the volume of digital transactions has grown exponentially in the last 7, 8 years. And it has more to do with how we have been able to build our infrastructure on that, how we've been able to create an awareness about the entire payment system. And obviously, people saw the benefit of using UPI and the rails of real-time payments and how it helped them, improve the transaction experience among various stakeholders. So that is one way to look at leadership. Second is, as Sarika mentioned, have we taken everybody along with us in this journey? I think the answer is yes and no. Yes, in the sense that people have started using it. No, in the sense that there are a lot of people in tier 3, tier 4 cities who are still not onto this platform or onto this bandwagon, as you may want to call it. Today whatever we design as a banker or as a fintech, most of the time what we do is we design all things keeping in mind customers who are net savvy or digitally savvy. They have smartphones to use, and they are more inclined on using it. But what we are missing out is people who are in rural areas, semi-rural areas, elders, seniors who can't actually use. I will not say they are not digitally savvy, but yeah, they are a little kind of constrained by their lack of knowledge and awareness on how to use it. So we sometimes miss in the entire customer journey. We miss out on feature phone and smart feature phone, as to how that can be part of the overall journey. So I think that is another aspect of leadership, that we need to carry everybody together in this journey of leadership. Third, obviously, one is we're talking about domestic payments, right? Domestic leadership. Third is, one thing is whether can it be extrapolated to cross-border transactions, right? Because a lot of people in India are going overseas, and UPI is taking the lead again, and RBI is working in coordination with another 4 countries on a project called Project Nexus for this cross-border transactions to happen through the rails, UPI rails equivalent of that in other countries, so that we all can be on the same platform. Though obviously there is bilateral kind of agreements which we've had with countries like Singapore or Maldives and France and UAE, but we're still working on that. But getting 4 countries together on a single platform is something that we're working on as a bank, as a country. So I think that is again another aspect of leadership. So it depends on as to how you want to define leadership, right? It could be in terms of product, it could be in terms of innovation, it could be in terms of number of people who are using it. Given the size of our population and demographic dividend that we have, I'm sure we'll always be far ahead of other countries in terms of the adaptability, the adoption of such kind of payment modes. I think that's from my side.
Yeah. Thank you, Aman. Yes, there are many dimensions to the leadership when we talk about. It is not only about the numbers. It is about also the product, the demographics, and other parameters. So maybe, Punit, if you can just give a little background and let us know what is digital leadership as per you.
Good evening. Thank you. So the question is, for the user, it's a free payment where UPI is seen as a free payment. So how you are offering it, and what is in it for so many players who are there? There are the payment companies, there are the banks, there are the technology companies. Now, leadership and a model which hits your bottom line. So that's where the the bankers have their questions. The question is, if you build the value around the transaction, don't try to find the value inside the transaction. Try to find the value around the transaction, and your bottom line will be affected definitely. So the first is customer acquisition, onboarding. Now, in cities like Mumbai or even tier 1 cities, almost everybody, including your pan wala, chai wala, sabzi wala, everybody has it. Going to tier 2, tier 3 cities, slightly slow, because of, the cost factors sometimes prohibiting us. But my view on this is that, coming from the background of implementing CBS, Treasury, payment systems, I have seen that you spend in the technology, and at that point of time, it seems, this is too costly. But ultimately, you find that there is a value in it, and you can derive value from it. So, although the number has gone exponentially high, this whole business is based, the model and the value that can be derived from it is based on the value of the transactions and the number of transactions. So we have to penetrate across. Now, UPI coming on feature phones, voice-enabled transactions, these kind of things will, come, which will elderly people like my mother will like to have. So those are the innovations which will come. And whosoever builds any kind of, value addition to the whole system is going to benefit out of it. So the leadership is not only about, having the numbers, but, creating the value in the whole system. Thank you.
Thank you, Puneet. So rightfully said, leadership is all about creating the value. We heard from two bankers. Now let us hear from a product expert from NPCI. Shweta, what's your take on digital leadership?
Thanks, Sarika. And I think I head the product at BBPS currently. Prior to this, I've worked at FinTech. I worked in securities market for a very long stint in my career, so I've seen the other regulator also function. I can, with my experience, I've seen leadership, the position of leadership in, especially in payments, is where you bring all parties together. The regulator, definitely having regulator by your right-hand side is very, very important. And then bringing banks, bringing the fintechs, and definitely the consumer. Essentially, how do you bring each of these together to create value for everyone? That's when things will move. Like in a simple leadership term, how it is, how you push every team member to kind of bring out their best and create value or growth for each of them. I think that's the digital leadership we are talking about. India is already leading it globally across countries, and we are probably, I think we are, if I'm not wrong, I think half of the real-time payments are currently processed in India, and RBI's growth index in digital savviness, if I'm not wrong, I took this research. It grew from 43.4 in 2017 to 64.2 in March 2024. Which is where we are already leading. And I think at the core of it is the regulator, and our regulator is really leading from the front, guiding and creating value for everyone in a very, very secure fashion. So I think digital leadership is where all of this is happening, and at the consumer end, as somebody also mentioned, I think Punit mentioned, if everybody in this room's grandmother can pay from wherever they are, anytime they want, or any student can pay their tuition bill from their phone app, I think this is where the leadership will lead the results. I think that's what is digital leadership according to me.
Yes, so inclusion is, of course, is the underlying thing. So, Shweta, you were talking about, like, you have been heading BBPS. So how is BBPS, like Bharat Connect or NPCI, helping banks and fintechs in achieving leadership, digital leadership?
BBPS, the platform was created to create like a digital highway connecting all the billers across the country to the consumers in a very democratic fashion. That was the baseline for BBPS. And in that process, we couldn't have done it without the banks, because banks are the closest to consumer as well as to the biller. So both of them have accounts with the banks. Hence, I would say BBPS started with the bill payments and now, making it wide to other platforms. So NBBL, the larger entity, is, for example, trying to build a very powerful net banking experience currently, and we just launched, in fact, last month, the internet banking, mobile banking platform of NBBL. We are also doing settlements, so we are a payment system operator. In terms of digital leadership, I would say banks are the ones which could really leverage the position of BBPS by onboarding as many billers and basically making their front ends powerful and reaching the consumers with the help of fintechs probably. So BBPS can really help in this digital leadership to the banks because we are becoming the de facto payment mode, rather payment flow for the country, which is seamlessly connected to both the sides, which is front ends as well as the biller side or the supply side of the bills information. I feel BBPS can really help lead this digital transformation across the country, across sectors in a very big way, along with the banks and fintechs.
And how do you see banks adopting and coming forward to adopt BBPS?
I think banks are, we are key partners. A lot of banks must be in this room, I'm sure. And we publish this data. I don't want to name them on the stage, but yeah, it's on our social media channels. A lot of these banks are our key partners where they source the billers month on month and they are leading the journey with us. And the large private as well as government banks are our partners in this journey.
It's good to hear that banks are coming up and adopting this innovative solution. So Puneet, coming from a traditional bank like a Bank of Baroda, how do you see banks like yours adapting to digital payment revolution? And where do you see the opportunities and challenges? And maybe I'll come to Aman also with the same question later.
So basically, does anybody have a chance not to be a part of it? The question is no. You simply go to, PhonePe, put your number. The ecosystem is such, goes and fetches across the banks the numbers, the account number. Now, if I am a bank who is not offering, let's say I'm not offering, neither offering mobile banking nor offering net banking, can you stop the customer from doing it? No, you cannot. The NCPI has done such a wonderful job whereby, somebody who has not invested in technology at all on these front ends have got no way out but actually to participate in it. The beautiful part of it is the meticulous, thought process that has gone into it, whereby you give me an option of selecting the bank. You give my phone number to the bank has to react. Everybody has to expose their APIs on that. So they have got no options but to, do that. So we can see a day tomorrow when there is an internet banking and mobile banking platform which is bank agnostic. Which is completely bank agnostic. Whosoever is your banker, still. So, apart from KYC due diligence, everything else can be done by the payment company. So, yes, we'll have to agree that the private banks have been, much aggressive in adopting and taking benefit of the whole ecosystem. But there are public sector players like SBI. SBI, is now a brand name which does carry a value. Bob now is a brand name which carries value. So even for a public sector bank like us, there are traditional bankers like me who have served 27 years. I have lost my RTGS charge, I have lost my NEFT charge, I have lost my debit card withdrawal charge. I sulk. But no, you don't have to sulk. You have to find a value around the transaction. And we are learning how to do it. And everybody is actually learning how to do it. And in the end, everybody will, benefit from it. So that's my take on it.
So it is no more choice. I think it's more compulsion. Aman, what is your take when you have worked in Yes Bank, HSBC, and now CSB? So how the banks are adapting to digital revolution?
I think it's a foregone conclusion now that the question is whether you were adapted or not. The point is you need to adapt. You don't have a choice now anymore on that, right? So I think so that adoption of digital payments across banking system is not a choice anymore. You have to do it. If you want to be stay relevant in today's environment. I think so. As you talked about, challenges and opportunities that might be there. So, being compliant, right? Offering an interoperable system, relentless focus on the customer journey and the user value is a challenge that every entity will face, whether it's a fintech or a bank, right? But at the same time, these challenges also give you opportunities because you have the canvas to rework the entire customer journey and to ensure that the user experience is both seamless, scalable, and secure. Right? That is very important because that is how you build trust with the customer. And being a bank, since we are regulated by the RBI and we have it's highly regulated. And that is one reason the customers do want to come back to us as a bank because they believe that since they are governed by RBI and they're regulated by RBI, the trust factor is part of that, right? And obviously that is a starting point, but till the time we keep servicing the customer, keep adding value to them and make them keep coming back to us, helps you build the trust further. Right? Another challenge is that you feel because of this growing volume of transaction on the digital side, I think we talked about the volume of data. So we've done about 180 odd billion transactions full last year, which was about $130 billion transactions a year prior to that. And this year roughly where people are expecting to go by another 20-30%, wherever you stand and how you look at it, right? The volume of transaction that needs to be managed is becoming huge, humongous, right? So reconciliation becomes a very, very important piece in that. So if you're not able, so traditional banks and a lot of the banks were always built on the thought process of either a batch processing or end of day processing as a best case scenario, right? And probably I would say not a best case scenario would be T+1 processing, but now with real-time payments, the rails coming in like IMPS and UPI, so you would want reconciliation to happen immediately so that everybody in the ecosystem knows where he or she stands in terms of whether the payment has been made or received or not received, right? So, banks will have to invest very, very heavily on the reconciliation and automation of the entire process. A lot of the banks still carry legacy infrastructure, so that needs to be looked at so that to ensure that the end user gets the information real time and he or she can then move ahead. As I said, today digital economy is 10% of the overall economy. The moment this reconciliation also becomes a lot more automated and a lot more real time, I think this will definitely increase in terms of that is one. Second is on the fraud prevention. AML, KYC, onboarding, and fraud prevention. Sometimes moving with speed and not trying to, and throwing caution to the winds is sometimes counterproductive. So that is where we have to ensure that these kind of challenges are taken care of so that being regulated, you can't afford to err on the wrong side of RBI, and customer grievances can't be handled lightly now because RBI is, even the Department of Financial Services from the government side is very, very proactively looking into customer grievances now. They are calling up banks on a regular basis. They are doing, Teams calls, video calls, or whatever, to understand how we are handling customer grievances. What is the process that we have in a bank have a process to first, lodge that customer complaint, and within what time frame are we going to respond to that customer complaint. So these challenges are going to increase, but obviously if there are no challenges, then we'll not be sitting here.
You touched on very pertinent issues, legacy, reconciliation, custom grievances. So maybe we'll come back to you on that point. Yeah, maybe Punit.
So reconciliation is something that is, that actually, immediately brought my focus into it. We being the bank for UPI Mauritius, and the reconciliation. We jumped into it, then saw the reconciliation issue. So, since the transactions were not that heavy, we slowly built it up and, resolved the issues. But as Sir has rightly pointed out, reconciliation is one of the major issues that has to be technologically handled in such a way that no problems exists. So I have a first-hand experience of that. So from the first-hand experience, I'm saying that reconciliation is one of the things that technology has to be, enhanced in that, and some amount of, expenditure has to happen on the reconciliation side of the whole ecosystem.
Absolutely. So that's what we will maybe come back to on it. So we were talking about cross-border and then UPI Mauritius. So we are using UPI rails to facilitate cross-border remittances as well. So Shweta, coming to you, what do you think that these are some of the key technologies that are transforming the global payment trends?
I think before I'll jump to this question, and while reconciliation was being talked about, reconciliation is needed when two systems don't talk to each other and they are on different rails, different platforms. I think the final probably end objective or the leadership, digital leadership should drive towards connected systems where a common protocol, so for example, if I give a parallel to in the securities market, it's a fixed protocol. Which is the language that's used by every system in the stock market. So every system can talk to each other by connecting to this through this protocol or language. I think similar is the need right now that probably this payment side of ecosystem needs today. And similar to this DPI that we have created, DPI for UPI, DPI NBBL being, VUPS being the other, DPI and then ONDC and things like those, probably there's a need of creating a common language which can help connect all these systems so that reconciliation is solved by design and not doing the systems talk to each other by force every single interface. This will in fact lead to connectivity globally also. As I started, FIX is the standard followed globally, and in fact when the algo trading as a wave came in India, the key messaging tool was FIX, because then somebody who's trading outside India or in India could actually use the same language for the systems to talk to each other. Same can be done, extended for global adoption also. So I think that's one, probably I feel as a digital leadership need that can be clearly felt. In terms of global trends and digital leadership, probably real-time systems is definitely, real-time payment settlement systems is one need that is felt, and to solve that, and also the cross-border payments, a lot of this distributed ledger technologies and the cloud AI, I think all these are making the way for people to do cross-border payments seamlessly. And within the regulatory framework, I feel DLT has really DLT can really set the way for, without intermediaries, you can do cross-border payments seamlessly. Let's see how this pans out, but I think a lot of fintechs are working in that area and can solve a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, yes, a lot of innovations going on in that area. So coming to you, Aman, like you touched on the customer grievances, customer complaints. So when you are working with teams on the ground, what design choices make or break trust? How do you ensure that you are creating a user journey which is user-friendly as well as safe and secure?
I think it's a very pertinent question because I've already mentioned in the initial thoughts. It is both the point of intersection where the customer user experience, right, simplicity of the usage of the platform, security and scalability is where when they meet is when you create that a complete user experience for the customer, right? So as I said, trust is a function of customer coming back to you, but that can only happen when the journey which a customer adopts is simple. It is in the language the customer understands, because India being a diverse country, not everybody, is comfortable with English or Hindi. They had regional languages. So your user interface should also be able to look at local languages, should be able to respond on that. Similarly, in terms of, as I said, we have cohorts of people. One is you have Gen Z, then you have people who are millennials, then you have people who are senior citizens, and then people who are not literate to a large extent. How do you ensure that these customers have the same kind of experience, right? Irrespective of whether they are digitally savvy or not, or whether literate or not, right? So from that perspective, it needs to be a very balanced approach. I think some time back, we were, I think probably 7 years back, people started talking about only digital branches, right? People will not need physical branches to be opened by the banks, right? Everybody would said everything will move to digital. I think probably the reality has dawned upon everybody that you just can't have digital branches. You need to have physical branches also. It's kind of going to be a coexistence, a phygital coexistence between for the branches and the customers, and that is where we'll have to ensure that people who are savvy continue to work on the digital platform and everything, and people who are not too savvy, there's an assisted journey for the customer, whether at the branch or otherwise. So that is what will create a difference, and that is how we can help the entire customer journey become a lot more seamless.
I think digital has been the flavor of the season. We have been hearing about digital with human touch since morning. So yeah, maybe Shweta, you can add on.
I just have a couple of perspectives to what Aman said. In terms of digital journeys, I think the journeys need to be not just beautiful, but intelligent. Somebody who's making a payment, let's say I make a 2 lakh payment, and immediately if I do another 2 lakh, why do I need to do the same process one more time? I think it needs to, so probably this is where like how AI is learning, the apps also need to become adaptive to ensure that, you and I, when we transfer, we at times have felt this. I just did it. Why can't it know that, I'm doing the same payment and it's asking me again for OTP? I mean, why can't it be? I think that kind of adaptation to the, behavior is very, very important, or even risk flagging there. So for example, if somebody is paying from a very unknown location and then, there's a risk alert being sent. So essentially some anomaly behaviors and also right behaviors both need to be adapted, and that will lead to beautiful journeys. Second point being bringing the, second tier or third tier, people into the formal economy, or making them digitally savvy. That probably can really come from leveraging the position of the banks which are present in those locations. Essentially the RRBs. Can the staff in RRBs become the first line of defense for all the people walking in, and they become the app support people rather than, the people struggling with the language, etc. And with AI coming in, I think bringing the language adaptability to app is very easy, because earlier you used to have like translators which will translate the language and create the regional language. This is like, can be done like very, very quickly today with AI coming in. And I think these are the real enablers that are happening, and banks are in a position, along with fintechs, help probably can bring all people into the formal digital economy very, very fast. So I think these are probably the things that could be
Yeah.
done for bringing everybody to formal economy.
Yeah, leveraging AI-based platforms, yeah, of course. So when we talk about digital payments, so like the traditional banks and the banks like CSB, so is it a strategic priority for banks to get into tier 2 and beyond cities, or are banks focusing only on metros and tier 1? So Puneet, if you can give your insights on that.
This whole business is the business of numbers. If you try to concentrate on metros, tier 1 city, no. It is like IPL, which is being seen in every nook and corner of the country. The value will be derived from that. The number of transactions increase. You are able to derive the pattern from the transactions. You are able to cross-sell credit. You are able to cross-sell a lot of things. So for me, being strong in tier 2 and tier 3 is something that I can leverage upon as a public sector undertaking, which others might not be in a position. Like ma'am said that regional rural banks, their part. So yes, our rural presence and our partnership, our stakeholding in the regional rural banks, which are at the top level governed by us only. So we do have a very, very big role to play here to bring in the second tier 2, tier 3 cities and the villages into the whole fold. It's purely the number game. It's purely the number game. You increase the number, you'll derive the value. And probably this is one space where public sector banks and the regional rural banks and the cooperative banks do have a role to play. If they have missed in the metros and if they have missed in the tier 1, they can catch up there. So it's for us to realize that, yes, this is my strong point. Now, can HSBC go to a small village? No, it can't. Let me go there. Let me earn from there. So, for me, tier 2 and tier 3 are more important than tier 1 and metros. Villages are more important than the metros. Because you'll find, I am from Bihar. In Bihar, you'll find one Bank of Baroda branch, and then 25 kilometers this side and 25 kilometers that side. There's nobody else. So I do have that unique presence. So I have that capability. So I have to utilize that capability and leverage upon that.
So, but how do you ensure that the same level of speed, reliability, and governance is achieved at those points?
Computerization has been a big leveler. The level of customer service has got streamlined across the industry. Thanks to the telecom revolution, there are very few centers which are having network problems or things like that. But even my rural branches are working as fast as any metro branch. Plus, the public sector bank has also a benefit in the sense that we do transfer people from a metro to a village. We just do that. So, the quality of service, the ability of us to have the quality of service in a metro and in a village is there. The quality of compliance which is there in the metro and in the village is there. So, aided by the technology, aided by the people who have been trained, we have the capability to, maintain the standard across the whole of the country.
That's perfect. So, Aman, like Puneet mentioned, digital leadership cannot be attained without getting into tier 2 and beyond. So, what is your take? What is driving adoption there, and what are the friction points?
I think, first of all, moving to tier 2 and tier 3 cities is of strategic importance for us at CSB, and more than that, it makes sense more from economic, technological, and a regulatory perspective also. Today, for example, if I look at CSB as a bank, though we have about 820 branches, we are in some states and some districts, we are quite very well entrenched, even in the tier 3, tier 4 centers. And being primarily a gold loan bank till now, that is where the jewelry loan against jewelry actually comes into the play, and that is the kind of customers you have with us. And because of that, you have to ensure that you serve these customers. So now, when these customers come to you, you always want to ensure that the technology backbone that you built, and you invested, so for every increasing volume of transaction, your cost your economic unit cost actually comes into the play, right? So that is very important. So that since you already invested in your infrastructure and technology, you need to ensure that you have more and more customers. That is why I said it's technologically important. Regulatorily, because RBI also wants you to be part in those locations from a financial inclusion perspective. And it makes a lot of economic sense because it helps you increase your customer base, right? It helps you cross-sell a lot more, right? And at the same time, the cost of acquisition comes on the lower side because, again, with every increasing customer, your fixed costs gets apportioned accordingly. So I think we should not look at only the profitability of the customer on day one, right? You need to onboard the customer, and then obviously what all you can cross-sell to the customer, how you can ensure that you continue to sell more products, add more value to the customer is important, and that is where I think tier 2, tier 3 cities become very, very important for the bank.
Yes. So, Shweta, actually, I just wanted to touch on this point also. I think personalized financial product is also something which play very important role in digital leadership. And when you deal with user data every day, how do you see that providing personalized products for the users, how we can make it more meaningful and ethical?
So I think personalize is the way to go with the necessary checks and balances and consents in place, ensuring that the data is dealt with utmost security and safety and with customers' consent, as I said. So I think that's but definitely personalize is the way to go. For example, if somebody is, let's say, and this is the way probably BBPS, I see these are the things we talk about. Somebody is doing a recharge every month of 500 rupees. Why can't I, tell them that, do you want to set an auto pay for subsequent months? If somebody is coming and paying, let's say, rent using UPI every month, can somebody offer a, low interest rate loan? Because you know that the person is very diligent and coming to pay every month and they are paying their bills on time. So such kind of, essentially people who do not have a lot of credit, they are not a part of formal credit yet. Their payments histories and their behaviors can be tapped and can be monitored to provide the more customized and personalized offers and products. I think this is the way to go, and fintechs are doing a good job at it, sometimes at the cost of customer data also, which probably needs to be controlled, and hence we've heard of a lot of this DPDP and things that are currently in talks, and I'm sure will get implemented sooner than later. So I think these are, but that's the reason those are coming, because personalized is the way to go, so you need to have the necessary checks and balances in place.
Yeah. Punit, you want to add?
Yeah. Let's take a Bhel Puri wala. Was he in a position to get a credit line 5 years ago? No. Today, you see, I have his UPI transactions. He had no way to come and tell the bank, and the bank would have simply said, no, you are saying you are selling 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees a day, I do not believe it on you. Now you have the data. So the way it is enabling, the people who were not in the formal sector, who we had, systematically marginalized, the way the digital transformation and particularly the NCPI, the way they have come into it and taken it forward is the financial inclusion that we were trying was actually much on a lower scale than what NCPI has been able to, achieve. We would have done some maybe 10% of what they have actually done because this is easy. You see, one of my friends coming from a US or somewhere, when he heard this voice, rupees 10 आपके खाते में आ गया है, he was, astonished. People have, gone to this level to give the comfort to the, uneducated mass. So it is, the technology has been massive. India has gone, way ahead of anybody else could have thought, taking the whole of the demography, the literate, not so literate, high transaction where, he's selling 20 people a minute. Still he's just getting in, is there 5 rupees received, 5 rupees received, and he's having that idea in his mind, yeah, okay, paisa mil gaya mere ko. So that's very unique and, excellent things that has happened in India.
That's great. I think we are coming to an end of our panel discussion. The last thing maybe we can discuss on this fintech and bank collaboration. When we talk about digital leadership, are we saying that it is only banks who can become digital leader, or we are saying there is an opportunity for fintechs to collaborate with bank and go hand in hand? Maybe Aman, you can throw some light on that.
I think, frankly speaking, banks and fintechs have complementary strengths, and there is no reason as to why they should not collaborate or work together. Banks being regulated entities, they have customer trust, they have customer understanding, deep relationship with the customer. And on the other hand, fintechs, they can bring in innovation, agility, customer-centric or customer user experience is much better. So I think together, they can definitely create a win-win for themselves and for the entire ecosystem. I think so. I think it's not a debate anymore as to whether we should work together or not. It has to happen, because you have 3 or 4 options when you start try and build a digital ecosystem, right? So either you buy a platform or you do something of that sort. You build on your own, right? Or you co-create or collaborate with other players, right? So I think the first 2 probably would put a strain a lot on your, resources. I think so. It's always best to look the middle path and try and co-create and collaborate and build something which is in line with the market, which meets the expectation of what the bank wants and what the fintech can offer. I think so. I think that is very, very clear.
Collaboration is the key to achieving the digital leadership. So Punit, you would want to, because then we can have 1 or 2 questions from the audience also.
So there is no way that you cannot collaborate. That's out of question. We have to collaborate. Everybody has to go together. Now, if somebody is trying to undercut somebody, you will not be in a position to do that. It's so transparent. It's so transparent. It's available so freely. You cannot undercut. The only way is to collaborate and go with the flow. Whosoever is adding value to the transaction is ultimately going to earn the money. So we have to find a way how to create value to the transaction and then get money out of it.
That's right. So we have to come to an end with our panel discussion. So maybe we have some time and we can take 1 or 2 questions from the audience if somebody wants to ask anything.
Absolutely, but I think first of all, this panel deserves a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for this wonderful panel. Not easy to pull a panel at the very last part of the day, but great job. Thank you to all the panel members. Thank you to the moderator, Sarika ji. Yes, we can take questions from the audience. So I would request, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We will pass on the mic to you. Please do introduce yourself, your organization, and question to which specific panel member.
I think that.
Yeah.
Thanks for this wonderful discussion. I am Avinash Kothare, Chairman of 𝐃𝐢𝐠𝐢𝐭𝐚𝐥 Commercial Cooperative Bank. We are celebrating Silver Jubilee this year.
Congratulations.
And basically, we are a bank in backward area. We are talking about financial inclusions. NPCI Bharat Billpay is doing good job. But regulators say, you need fintechs with you, bank platforms with you. We are having NPCI approvals for a lot of things. We have platforms with us, credit cards are with us. But some regulators are saying mobile banking is not permissible to you because net worth is less. So this become hindrance, because when we talk about inclusion, and when we talk about small person from a village should have this facility. And if people are coming with mobile banking, every nook and corner, we see people needs all this facility. Then regulator must see in perspective direction of moving faster to this economy so that small banks could get benefit of this mobile system. So regulators, if banks are performing good, then they should allow. That is my request to this Shweta ma'am.
Sorry, but I'm not a part of regulator.
No, not
However, please feel free to write to regulator. I would say, and I agree with you, please feel free to write to regulator. But in the meantime, you can leverage the fintechs via BBPS to reach the consumers, because these days, even in villages, people have Paytm and PhonePe and Google Pay.
We are doing, but what happened, if we take PhonePe and everything, but effective cost we are not getting to the banks.
Sure.
So considering all platforms, platforms are there, no doubt. But what benefit bankers are getting, that we are not seeing it. So we need win-win situation for everybody.
Sure.
So accordingly, you can also write, these are our grievances.
Sure.
Thank you.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other question from the floor?
And maybe I'll just extend my thanks to the panelists for such an insightful discussion. So the one thing I would want to say is, let's win the race and ensure everybody gets to run along with us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Very well said, Sarika ji. I would request the panel to kindly be seated on stage. Would like to call on stage Mr. Animesh Chauhan, CEO of Adiswan. Animesh, if you could kindly felicitate the honorable panel members.
Thanks, Sarika, and everyone.
Thank you,
for the
Animesh ji. We will begin with Aman Singla ji. Mr. Aman Singla, ladies and gentlemen, from CSB Bank. A big round of applause to Aman ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Punit Pushkar Sharan from Bank of Baroda. A big round of applause to Punit ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel. Moving next to Ms. Shweta Nigam Dasgupta from NPCI Bharat Billpay Limited. A big round of applause to Shweta ji for her wonderful contribution in the panel. And now we would like to thank our honorable moderator, Ms. Sarika Agarwal from FINDI, our presenting partner. A big round of applause to Sarika ji, not just only for her wonderful contribution in the panel, but for wonderfully moderating this panel as well. Would request the honorable panel members if you could kindly step forward for a group photograph, and Animesh ji, if you could also join them.